This is Ryu. Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic for Dragon Ball. Basically, this topic covers the entire series because this is the main superpower used throughout the entire series. Of course, we all know this as Ki. Ki is basically based on the Chinese martial arts of Kung Fu or Tai Chi, known as Chi. And basically, it's been talked about by Akira Toriyama himself as well. He stated that ki energy is made up of Genki, which is the energy, Yuki, which is courage, and Shoki, which is mind. So these three components make up ki, according to Akira Toriyama. So basically, we know ki, while it is energy, it is also a spiritual force, a life force, that kind of thing. So it's more than just basic energy. Now, before we start off with what exactly is ki capable of, we're going to talk about a few traits that ki possesses. Number one, ki does have a mass. We know this because there is force behind ki. It's capable of pushing people and objects, therefore, it must have mass. Also, we've seen characters struggle with holding up ki when they're attacked or holding their own giant ki attacks. So we know that ki has mass, it has weight when under gravity, so that's pretty obvious right there. Also, we know that Ki has heat inside of it. We've seen it melt things, and we've even seen in the most recent Dragon Ball Super episode that Ki is capable of heating up the rocks around it. So, Ki indeed does generate heat like regular energy as well. So, any arguments that Ki is simply just some non corporeal thing or just basic energy blast is wrong. It does have mass, it does have density, it does have heat, it's all of those things. There are many kinds of ki as well. We've seen it right from the beginning of Dragon Ball. We have people like Child Goku be being able to use Kamehameha with ki. We see Master Roshi doing the same thing. We see other humans also use it, like the ninja Murasaki is capable of generating a ki aura around himself when he's going to use his copy technique. And we've seen it way past the Earth as well. We've seen it out on other alien races, like, Frieza and the Ginyu Force and such. We've seen even androids use artificial ki that they're basically outfitted with by Dr. Gero. We've seen even the gods use ki energy still. Although all these different characters, the thing about their ki energy is it's different types of ki energy. So we can basically separate ki energy into separate classes. The different classes are capable of different things. Basically, general ki is capable of certain things. It's capable of being shot out as blasts of different sizes and shapes and that kind of stuff, like, the beams, the key balls, like the death ball and that kind of stuff. We've seen it used as shock waves, like clear type of key. And then also we've seen it even used to create, constructs and weapons like swords, like with Vegito and Zamasu, or, discs that can cut things like Destructo Disc and that kind of stuff. And we've seen that those kinds of objects, they can be manipulated and moved around even after they're fired to, follow their opponent or flank them or what have you. So very versatile in offense, but also in defense as well. We've seen ki used by many characters to create things such as spheres around themselves for barriers, and of course they've used ki to cancel out other ki attacks, like shoot another ki blast to overpower one, things such as that, right? And then they've also used, omnidirectional shock waves just to hit all sorts of opponents at once or to, not have to worry about what direction their attack is going at. All these different things. So ki has a lot of uses, and I mean, we could go on and on about all the different types of ki uses. I mean, we've seen them shoot them from the hands, from the feet, from their stomachs, from their eyes, their mouth, everywhere basically can generate ki. So yeah, ki is an extremely versatile thing when it comes to energy projection, both in offense and defense. But it goes even beyond that, actually. Ki is also used to utilize psychic powers. We've seen characters like Goku read Krillin's mind. We've seen ki used to lift objects, such as lifting anything from, you know, just a glass of water to pyramids like Piccolo did, all the way up to even entire planet-sized Dragon Balls. So, I mean, yeah, Ki certainly is very useful in terms of psychic powers as well. And I mean, you could even argue that attacks like instant transmission and such, they utilize locking onto key signatures and most likely have something to do with ki in terms of activating the technique. So, I mean, again, you can see all different types of psychic powers can be used with ki energy as well. And another very important thing to note is that the effectiveness and the strength of these attacks are dependent directly on how much ki energy the user has, as well as the control that they have over it. So basically, the stronger your ki is, the more powerful your attacks and defenses and special techniques are going to be, as well as your ability to control them will also improve this as well because, if you have control over these types of techniques, then you can obviously utilize them more effectively. So it's very important to have higher ki levels as well as control over this ki so that you don't, wind up destroying something you don't intend to or wasting all of your energy away on something you don't need to. So basically, that's just an overview of a blanket of what ki is capable of. Also, regular ki we know can even resist other types of special abilities as well. We've seen regular ki able to overpower psychic abilities, like with Nappa being immune to Chaozu's psychic abilities. Normally, Chaozu can control people's bodies and such with his, psychic powers, which again would be linked to ki. So basically, we've seen Nappa is able to overpower those psychic powers and be unaffected by them. We've seen characters like Vegito even capable of being turned into a candy, but because his ki level was higher, that matter manipulation that turned him into a candy from Majin Buu still didn't stop him. He retained all of his power, and he beat the crap out of Majin Buu as a fucking gumball. So, I mean, you can really see there that ki is capable of a lot offensively, defensively, and even against hacks. I mean, these hacks aren't the only ones. We can look also at Dragon Ball Super. We see as Goku gains extra power, he actually uses the Kaioken times 10 and is capable of overpowering Hit's time leap ability. When he does this, basically, he just multiplies his power level by 10 using the Kaioken times 10, and this increases his power, and in turn it makes it so that he is able to actually basically resist this time manipulation ability. So I mean, we can see that it works everything from psychic powers to matter manipulation to time manipulation, and then even look at mind control. We have Bobbity trying to control Vegeta, but Vegeta was just too powerful for Bobbity to control. He just simply overpowers him, and that's just the way it goes. Ki basically is capable of stopping even most hacks abilities if it's a high enough level. And I mean, we can even see this even if it's non-canon, especially in Dragon Ball Xenoverse. We see Demigra is actually capable of utilizing magic and many different special abilities from time manipulation and space manipulation to reality warping and matter manipulation. He's capable of mind controlling people and possessing them and absorbing them even like he did Toki Toki, all these different capabilities that Demigra has, and yet none of his abilities would work on Goku since Goku had the godly ki that he got from Super Saiyan God. Also worth noting is when Demigra tried to control Beerus, his techniques still didn't work on Beerus either, again because Beerus's ki was superior and it was actually God ki, which we'll get into a bit more. Also, we even see that the Time Patroller, when Demigra tried to battle him, he states that he would erase the Time Patroller from existence so that he never existed, and yet still he could not do that because the Patroller's ki level was so similar to Demigra's. So as we can see, ki is capable of doing a hell of a lot of things, everything from energy projection to psychic powers to different defenses with constructs and such, and even resisting many hacks, if not just all hacks in general, depending on the level of ki. So ki is certainly extremely useful. Basically, though, the thing you have to note is ki is dependent on the user's concentration and ability to control it, as well as the amount of ki. So you could have all the ki in the world, but if you're suppressing it at the wrong time, or if you're not properly controlling it, you can easily run yourself out of energy, or you can easily wind up getting hit by an attack while your defenses are down. So ki requires concentration, and the higher levels of ki produce higher levels of power and higher resistance to hack's abilities, basically. So it's very important to note that ki is powerful, but it does have that weakness that you need to be concentrating to use it effectively. Now, of course, the characters themselves who utilize ki, they would automatically have certain, physical capabilities that would, boost them up a little bit, even if they weren't paying attention. For example, Frieza, I mean, on Namek, he hardly trained a day in his life, and yet when he was, drained of ki and all this kind of stuff, even with the planet exploding on him, it still couldn't kill him when he was cut in half. So obviously, the physical capabilities of some characters are prevalent even beyond ki. But yeah, that's another topic entirely dependent on the character that we're talking about. So now that we've gone over basic abilities of any ki user, which is the majority of characters in Dragon Ball that can fight, we'll go over the specific types of ki and their specific abilities. Now, number one is obviously just regular ki. This is what most mortals in the entire series would use. When I say mortals, I mean any Saiyans, aliens, anyone who lives in the universe, basically, and not like above as a god. So basically, these guys, with their ki, are capable of the majority of the things that I already stated at varying levels, depending on how powerful they are and their control over the ki energy. Now, you can even split these regular ki users up into negative and positive ki because they have mentioned multiple times that certain characters have an evil type of energy to them or a very pure type of energy to them. We've seen evil characters such as Omega Shenron with a negative type of energy. That's an extreme example. Or even, Frieza, characters like that have been stated to have an evil type of energy that just makes your skin crawl. Even Zamasu again, an evil type of energy that Beerus and Whis were just like, oh, I really don't like that. It makes me feel sick just feeling that energy. So you can basically see these characters. They have these evil energies that can be, tangibly felt by other characters who can sense ki, right? So you can split this into categories of good and evil ki, which would, I would assume, depend on the kinds of actions and the kinds of mindsets that these characters have, because obviously certain characters do have evil intentions and certain characters have good intentions. And when you have something that deals with, life energy and energy that comes from your courage and your mindset, it would stand to reason that depending on your kind of life that you lived and your kind of mindset would affect the kind of ki that you produce. So, I mean, obviously, you're going to get different sets of ki depending on the person. So, you can split those two types of ki up into regular ki as well. Maybe they apply to other types of ki as well that are further up the list, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Another type of ki that goes past just the regular ki here is actually the godly ki. Now, this is something that not everybody has. Actually, very few have it. Most mortals don't have it. Most mortals can't even sense godly ki. They have to be basically someone who is at least at godly ki levels, whatever that is. I'm not sure really what the precise amount is, but basically someone who's really friggin' strong or already has godly ki themselves are the only ones who can even sense this type. Characters who would have godly ki would be characters like Supreme Kai, Beerus, Whis, Super Saiyan God Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, characters like Demigra, who becomes a demon god. Basically, these kinds of characters have godly ki. Um, this type of ki has a few special capabilities. Number one, first and foremost, it should be noted, is in general, characters who have godly ki are vastly superior to any character who has just regular ki. Of course, there are a few possible exceptions, but in general, this is the case. In fact, Whis was even talking to Vegeta, who's well known as one of the strongest in the universe. This was before Vegeta trained with Whis and gained Super Saiyan Blue. He stated to Vegeta that Vegeta could train his entire life the way he's going now, and he would never be able to fight Beerus. He would never even get to Super Saiyan God Goku level. So, I mean, really, when you look at that, it pretty much sums it up. For the majority of regular characters, they could never possibly hope to make their regular ki match with even a basic level of God ki like Super Saiyan God Goku. So we see that there. We see that in most cases, God Ki is far superior in terms of power and control to regular Ki. Also, God Ki, as I mentioned earlier, cannot be sensed by regular Ki users for most cases. I mean, the only real exceptions to this are some characters like perhaps Golden Frieza and Hit because they haven't been expressly stated to utilize God Ki. But then again, they're considered prodigies and some of the most powerful in their universe, so it would stand to reason that they can probably also sense this God Ki as well. However, there is actually something else that we can look at when it comes to God Ki. It was stated after Goku absorbed Super Saiyan God into himself and became that powerful even in his base state that him and Vegeta were only just reaching the very beginning of God Ki. It was stated that compared to someone like Beerus, they were a small tree comparing to a castle in terms of their God Ki levels. So we can see they were only just starting with God Ki. And if you go further with the God Ki, you can see that we actually wind up getting a higher level of this called Destruction Ki, which we've only seen a few characters use so far, but the ones we have seen use it is very interesting. We've seen the gods of destruction obviously utilize this kind of ki, such as Sidra and Beerus, and presumably all the rest of the gods of destruction can utilize it as well. Now, this type of ki is actually capable of erasing beings from existence across time and space, including not only their body but their soul. Now, that is an extreme improvement upon even just the regular God ki. And when you get into that, you actually see other characters who utilize it as well. We see in the manga that Goku is actually capable of using the Hakai technique that Beerus utilized, and he almost erases Zamasu from existence by utilizing that. Zamasu winds up surviving it, but the fact that Goku can utilize that technique and utilize the destruction key shows that more than just gods of destruction are capable of using it. We've also seen that even Zamasu during that battle claims that he can erase Goku and the entire galaxy from existence. So again, that's hinting at Fuse Zamasu being capable of utilizing some sort of destruction key to erase characters and things from existence. We even see in the anime also that Goku and Golden Frieza are capable of resisting Sidra's godly key and destruction key. When that key is thrown at them, Frieza is capable of grabbing the key. He struggles a little bit with it, but he actually condenses it and turns it back on Goku, and Goku survives inside of this key, which is supposed to have erased them from existence completely. So we see that these characters, even when they're not gods of destruction, are capable of using and resisting destruction ki, which can erase beings from existence completely. Now, that's very impressive and very important to note, because if they're capable of gaining these higher levels of ki after they've surpassed the previous ones, then who's to say there's not even a higher level of it? Perhaps the Grand Priest has some sort of level of ki that is beyond even the gods of destruction and their destruction ki. Perhaps he's capable of something that they're not. Perhaps Zeno is so powerful because he's reached a new level beyond even that. We're really not sure on the different types of ki that there are. We know up to destruction level, and that's pretty much it. Anyhow, that's pretty much a basic overview of the different types of ki, what they're capable of, what their characteristics are, and what my thoughts are on them. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. Let me know if I missed something that you think I should have added in. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the future and if we're going to see more types of ki.